Hey everyone, my name is Serenity, and today I just wanted to react and give my thoughts on the new Season 3 intro to Amphibia. We got the new intro straight away from the ending of True Colors, which Matt and the team did a phenomenal amount of work on, which I cannot stress enough. But either way, we got blessed with the new intro. After my reaction, stick around to see some of my predictions for the final season of the show. With that out of the way, let's get this party started. Candy box. They're in the city. Interesting. And switching roles with the planters. Aw. Domino! So cool. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Game chase. Invasion. New characters. Nice. Marcy, no! We gotta save Marcy. Oh. Man, this is amazing. Oh, that was like so much more different than... I mean, I swear, I reacted to the Owl House and their new intro for season 2 the other day, and I swear Disney is just killing it with their shows. Like their new introductions to the shows are just on fire. I mean, look at this whole thing. I mean, I'll probably like, mute the whole thing just so that we can look at it, but wow, look at that. I mean, you have basically sums up the plot of the season already. I mean, looks like Anne's home is near a city. I mean, like, the fact that Anne gets to switch roles with planters is really fun. I really want to see more of that. And then they, like, switch out the mushrooms for beach umbrellas. It makes so much sense. It's actually weird seeing Anne's hair without, like, the leaves and stuff and the stick. Hold up, is she wearing shoes? I need to know if she's wearing shoes or not. Okay, well, not in that scene, obviously, but... at the beginning, is she wearing shoes? She's wearing shoes. I repeat, Anne is wearing shoes. So, what did we learn from this whole new intro, and what are some of the points we can speculate on? A lot thanks to rewatching this intro several times. This, to me, is an extremely interesting dynamic that reminds me a lot of what Star vs. the Forces of Evil did with their Season 3, which I now think is extremely coincidental with what season number this trope is happening in, but hey, that could just be me. In both shows, Season 3 split up the main groups of characters between different worlds, progressing the story through developments on either side. I really do hope and believe that Amphibia will handle this a lot better than Star vs. did, because Matt intended for Amphibia to be finished in 3 seasons. But I'll save my thoughts about Star vs. for another video if y'all are interested in that. The next couple of scenes show the planters and Anne getting up to all sorts of mischief in the house, Sprig popping out of the freezer with some ice cream as a replacement for a spyglass, and Polly with her new legs hopping onto Domino, Anne's cat, which Domino doesn't take lightly and chases after Polly like an angry kitty would. I could totally see a filler episode where Polly tries to bond with Domino, giving some character development to Polly in the process, maybe even giving some callbacks to the domino effect perhaps. We later observe Sprig and Anne hopping on umbrellas at the beach to replace the mushrooms of the old introduction. Maybe this is alluding to a possible beach day episode where the whole Boonchoy planter family tries to get away from all the chaos that has been happening in their lives so far, but finds themselves unable to relax and anxious about what's to come in the future. Speaking of the future, the next scene depicts a new robot frog that is chasing after Anne and company, making me think that not only is King Andreas still using the box to power the factories, but he is also actively sending these new robots and/or threats to the human world bit by bit to deal with the planters and Anne, Monster of the Week style, via the portal of the Calamity Box that might still be open. We can also see the planters trying to escape from a museum worker or security guard of sorts in the next scene. How I think that they got there is a little bit of a mystery, but here's how I see things possibly going in an episode. Anne takes the planters to a museum of natural history in her city. The planters have a really good time looking at all the exhibits and things that the museum has to offer, but eventually the museum has to close. Anne, not wanting to be late to her parents back home, rushes out of the museum before the planters can come with her, leading to the planters getting stuck in the museum and the security guard possibly wanting to catch them due to maybe the planters knocking over some artifacts or even causing other property damage. Who knows? All I can tell is that episode's going to be pretty exciting no matter what happens. We can see next that the planters and Anne are being chased by the police. Possibly this scene is from one of the few first episodes where the local authorities can be intrigued in the existence of literal creatures from another dimension. Why wouldn't they be chasing Anne and the gang? It's the classic trope of governments wanting to find out more about worlds beyond our own, for crying out loud. In the next shot, we can see a few ladies looking up at the armada of dragonflies above them, preceded by a huge frogbot with various smaller clones behind it, with the huge frogbot firing its lasers! Just kidding, that meme's dead. I'm thinking these scenes are pulled directly from a huge episode in the series, probably being more close to the end, with King Andreas attempting his invasion into the human realm. Meanwhile, Sasha and the other Wartwood citizens all seem angry and ready to rebel against Andreas and his current tyranny over Amphibia, possibly showing how Sasha will get some character development with becoming a true leader, and not one that is just leading for their own gain. She has shown true remorse and true colors after all, and if she proves that she is willing to fight not only with Wartwood, but for them, it could just be the push she needs for her to be fully redeemed by the time she comes back home to the human world. There also seems to be a bunch of new characters on Anne's side of the show as well in preparation for the invasion arc, as we see the truck that was chasing the planters earlier in the background with 2 kid engineers and a panda robot, possibly giving rise to them making a counter-army of robots to the King's fleet. There is also another person with blue hair and a lab coat of some kind, possibly a scientist that could research different findings and come back to the main characters about their results in some episodes. The last 2 characters in this frame I would point out would be the old man near the truck and the lady with the dinosaur print shirt who probably works at the museum the planters are being chased from earlier. With King Andreas swinging his sword before the camera pans up to Marcy in a sort of stasis pod, while the monster from the prophecy is shown with all of its eyes open. The amphibian frogbots launch a few missiles at Anne and the planters before Anne goes into her calamity state to fend them off. This is interesting because I believe she will eventually be able to control this form at will. The intro ends with Anne yeeting the missile right back at the frogbot and landing to show the main cast all in front and center, with Andreas being the one to menacingly stand in the back of the background. Also, can we touch on little Domino being cute in this scene? It's so gosh darn cute. Oh, I mean, her little... she's so cute. So either way, here is how I can see Season 3 going in a nutshell from what I can grasp from the intro and all of the combined evidence so far. And the planters get used to being in the human realm. Along the way, the planters learn more about Anne's home, with their roles being first, while also advancing the plot when the frogbots and other threats come through the portal to attack the gang. In addition to these events, Anne and company will meet the new characters from the intro over the course of the season who will join the war effort against Andreas. Meanwhile, Sasha, Grimes, and the other Wartwoodians will work together and learn to trust each other, discovering their own side of the story, possibly getting as much information and preparing to aid Anne and the planters from the other side. Marcy eventually will get revived and join the main cast and help fight against the king. The whole series will end in the trio fulfilling the prophecy of them fighting against the huge monster and defeating the king once and for all. So where does this leave us at the end of the series after everything has been tied up with a bow? I can see Marcy possibly fighting to stay with her friends after all of this is over, or she ends up moving away, but they possibly could all stay in touch with each other and promise to meet up every summer. The planters will probably end up going back to Wartwood, or they could stay in the human world if they really wanted to. I could also see a kind of last scene where Marcy, Anne, and Sasha all meet up every summer to go to Amphibia if they find a way for the portal to stay open. Once they get clearance from their parents, of course. But I'm not sure if the Boon Choi's Waybrights or Woos are ready to let go of their girls for so long again for a while, so we'll have to see about that in the future. Either way, that is all I have for y'all. What do you think is going to happen next in Amphibia Season 3? Are you just as excited for this thrilling finale to the series? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy this video, please consider dropping a like, typing a comment, and subscribing, as it lets me and YouTube know that you enjoy my content and that you would like to see more. I'm sure you've noticed that these new videos are becoming more high quality with editing, so it takes a bit of time, but I'll have more time as school is wrapping up. This has been Serenity, signing out until the next video, and remember to always drink water.